I know the workshop ball, Marcus with 205 numbers after the name of the game's beating action over here, man. A little Gears Tactics. This game really interests me for the jump, man. When I remember, oh man, it was a couple of E3s ago, I guess, when they kind of announced that there was like Gear stuff. They announced some like Funko Pop game, whatever those little like, whatever the hell those little like head bobbing things are. And then they announced Gears Tactics, and then they showed you, like, I think maybe a quick, or maybe they didn't even show you a quick glimpse of Gears 5 at that time, or maybe it was like a teaser. I forget what it was. People were pissed. People were like, what the hell is all this other stuff? But when I saw Tactics, that one piqued my curiosity. I was like, oh, hold up. Like, a little XCOM type game in the Gears universe, I get kind of down with that. And then it came out for PC, which was cool, but I didn't really have one that could run it, so I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks because I won't see it. And then they said it was going to come out with the Xbox Series X. So I was like, oh, all right, on Game Pass as well. Once again, I don't want to advertise Game Pass. We're just saying we're playing a lot of games right now on the Xbox on that because it's just a good service. So I managed to play it, and it was probably, after Tetris Effect, the next game that I kind of really dove into on the Series X. Runs smooth as butter, which, I mean, is to be expected. I'm actually kind of shocked that this game needed that kind of new system boost to kind of run on better. I don't know. I don't feel like there's that much going on in it. But it does look good. It plays like an XCOM light, I would say. I don't think it's as hard as XCOM, but it's really cool to adapt some of the Gears stuff into XCOM, or into, the XCOM kind of formula. So it's not like we're just ripping off XCOM. We are using the cover-based mechanic of XCOM. We have some stuff like Overwatch kind of thing. Like, some things do kind of have a little bit more of a one-to-one kind of scenario to it. And other stuffs are completely different, like the tickers, for example, that could kind of come at you and blow you up. You have snipers that pin you down. You have, the big, like, boss battles are, like, really fun, too. I honestly haven't played XCOM in a minute, but I don't remember there being huge bosses like the ones that are in here that you have to go, like, through different phases and stuff. I didn't really like the fact that you pretty much had your party and that's it. Like, as in, your bases. Like, in XCOM, there's certain missions I remember that you could carry, like, a bunch and not as many people or stuff like that. In this one, for the most part, you're stuck with, like, 4 guys and Jack, or gals, and Jack. There are some missions where you only go with 2, but 2 is, like, too little, man. Honestly, 2, I hated those missions. I was like, oh. And those missions usually free other people and you get them and stuff like that, but I don't know. And then there's a whole kind of, I wouldn't say it's a loot box type system, but there's some sort of, like, way that you could accrue more stuff in a random fashion kind of thing. And I didn't really care about that. And eventually you kind of get now you do get it from missions and stuff, where you saw me pick up a chest there earlier. That'll kind of do it. You can pick up armor and different stuff via that passage, but I think you could also get it through other ways in the game. So teach their own on that. The one cool thing, and that I was shown over there to see if I could get in range, was you could execute people, and that like gives one more movement to everybody else on your team, which is like really like a neat kind of way to add that execute mechanic from Gears into the XCOM formula. And overall, I was really like impressed with just how well everything fit, and it just fits so nicely. Like, and that's why I was excited when the game was like announced, because I was like, oh yeah, I was like, Gears and XCOM. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't that make sense? Like. And here you kind of pick out for the Overwatch, you pick out like a little cone that they're kind of looking at and stuff like that. Whereas like I think next time you just literally hit Y and then they just kind of look at whatever's coming up next and that's it. So overall, if you want to play an XCOM game that I feel is slightly easier, even though I played it on normal difficulty, I think there's other modes, so I'm sure you could ramp up the difficulty even more. It doesn't have any of that XCOM kind of like base stuff or building or anything like that. I'm thinking kind of base XCOM. I don't even remember XCOM 2 that well. It's been a while since I played them both, but I remember XCOM 1 a lot more than XCOM 2. Doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. You're basically just picking soldiers in barracks, putting some basic gear on that you unlock, and then you kind of keep it moving and you play it in there. So in a lot of senses, it's simpler than XCOM, but it's also got like that kind of Gears formula in there. Overall, I'd probably give this game a solid like 8.3, 8.5. For me, it's a very good title into a tactics genre that I hope it expands on. Like if they do a Gears Tactics 2, I think that would be like really dope, like what we'll see with it and what they bring to the formula, what they even add up from like the current Gears games to add on to this, which would be pretty tight.
Drugs are on the ground.